They said college would save me. But no one tells you what happens when the scholarship vanishes, or what you'll do with the money to come back. Hello, my name is Millie Wilson. I used to believe hard work could buy freedom. Back home in Pine Hollow, population 2,400, that's what we were raised on. Work, pray, repeat. I was supposed to be the proof that it paid off. First in my family to go to college. First to hang a future on the wall. When my acceptance letter came, Mom cried. Dad opened a beer. The town paper printed my photo under Time's Local Girl Gets Scholarship. Asterisk. I taped that headline above my dorm desk like a lucky charm. Then, one cold November morning, luck froze. An email, subject line, financial aid, adjustment notice. I thought it was another reminder to confirm my classes. Instead, it said my scholarship had been reevaluated, a bureaucratic word for gone. Effective immediately. Balance due, asterisk, asterisk, $18,732.75. Asterisk, asterisk. I called, I begged, I waited. Every voice on the phone sounded the same, apologies wrapped in policy. Weeks passed. Rent notices piled up. I started skipping meals to make payments that didn't matter. By December, my roommate moved out. By January, my hands shook from hunger more than cold. Still, I told myself, one more shift at the cafe, one more essay, one more miracle. But miracles don't answer emails. One night, while closing, I overheard two girls whispering near the pastry case. Tall, red hair, laughing too easily. I made $600 last weekend. One night, her friend joked, "What, you selling drugs now?" She grinned. Worse, I dance. They left, but the sentence stayed. $600. One night, I lay awake till dawn, counting what that could pay. Half my debt, a month of rent, food that wasn't instant noodles. Curiosity turned to planning before I realized what I was doing. By evening, I'd looked up the address. Asterisk, the Sapphire Room. Asterisk. Bus 34, downtown. The city smelled different past midnight. Not like coffee and deadlines anymore, but like something you could never wash off. The club hid behind a pawn shop, its neon sign flickering like a dying heartbeat. Inside, perfume fought with electricity. A man in black checked IDs. His eyes crawled over me and stopped at my hesitation. "You here to work or watch?" "I'm not sure yet," he smirked. Everyone starts that way. Then came asterisk, asterisk Dahlia, asterisk, asterisk. 40-something. Red lipstick is sharp enough to draw blood. Her smile was gentle, practiced, like someone who'd broken 100 girls softly. She looked me over. "You've got the face for it. College girl, look, men pay extra for that. You'll learn. No sympathy, just a transaction." She led me into the dressing room. Cracked mirrors, glitter ground into tile like residue from someone else's dream. The women around me shimmered under cheap bulbs, angels with clipped wings. "Stage name?" Dahlia asked. "Millie's fine." She shook her head. "No one pays to see Millie. Pick something they'll remember." That night, I became Time's Ivy. Asterisk. When the lights hit, my hands trembled so badly I could barely grip the pole. The bass crawled up through the floor, into my ribs, my throat. But somewhere between the first beat and the third, fear changed shape. Power, control, a lie that felt like the truth. Faces blurred, bills floated, the music drowned everything I used to be. After the set, Dahlia handed me an envelope, $340 in cash. More money than I'd made all semester. Outside, snow drifted under the streetlight. The bills in my pocket felt heavier than my guilt. I told myself it was temporary, just until tuition was paid. But deep down, I knew better. Because the moment I crossed that stage, the world outside stopped caring who I was. It only cared who I could pretend to be. I opened my laptop the next morning and stared at that number again. $18,732.75. It no longer felt impossible, just expensive. I whispered, "You're still the same person." But even as I said it, I heard the lie in my voice. Because somewhere between Pine Hollow and Times the Sapphire Room, Asterix, the girl who wanted to graduate, was gone. And I had no idea how far she'd go or what she'd become to survive. But most nights now, they only call me Ivy. It's strange how fast a name can stop belonging to you. After a while, Ivy stopped feeling like a disguise and started feeling like armor. The kind that glitters just enough to make you forget it's heavy. My second night at the Sapphire Room was the first time I understood how danger could hide inside routine. The lights, the smoke, the bass, it all moved like a machine built to swallow hesitation. I remember Dahlia's voice through the dressing room haze. Smile at the ones who don't smile back. They're the ones who'll pay the most to feel noticed. That line stuck. So when I saw him, the man at the back booth, I thought of that rule. He wasn't like the others. No noise, no drink, just stillness. The kind that felt like a question mark. He sat with his hands folded, eyes fixed on the stage like he was waiting for something specific or someone. The first time our eyes met, I lost the beat. It wasn't lust, it was focus, like being studied through glass. After the set, while the other girls laughed and counted bills, I peeked through the curtain. He was still there, still staring, no drink, no movement, just presence. When I stepped out to leave, he spoke without looking up. "Good performance, Ivy." The way he said my name, slow, deliberate, made me wonder how many nights he'd been watching before I noticed. I tried to sound casual. "Thanks." He smiled slightly. "You're new." "Yeah, second week." "Second night," he corrected. That should have been my cue to walk away. But something in his voice, calm, certain, froze me. He slid a tip across the table. Not bills. A single folded note. "Emergency fund," he said, "for when the show gets too real." I didn't open it until I got home. Inside was a $100 bill and a phone number. That night, I told myself he was just another rich man playing savior, but sleep wouldn't come. Every sound outside felt like footsteps. Every buzz of my phone felt like a choice. The next night, he wasn't there. The night after that, he was in, same seat, same stillness. Dahlia noticed. "Regulars are good," she whispered, "as long as they stay predictable." But he wasn't predictable. He never touched, never smiled. Sometimes he'd just leave a rose on the stage and walk out before the set ended. Once, I followed him to the parking lot just to see where he went. He stood by his car, smoking. When he saw me, he crushed the cigarette under his shoe and said quietly, "You shouldn't follow people, Ivy. Not all of them want to be found." The way he said it, like a warning, not a threat, made it worse. After that, I started seeing him everywhere. Or maybe I just started noticing him, a reflection in a shop window, a man on the opposite platform. Sometimes, when I closed up after a shift, I'd feel eyes in the dark, patient, familiar. I told myself it was paranoia, that exhaustion was playing tricks. But one night, when I checked my locker, there was another note inside. Same handwriting. "Every story has a price." That's when I realized the moment you step on a stage, someone out there starts writing your ending for you. And I was beginning to wonder if mine had already been sold. The first time he waited for me outside, it was raining. Not hard, just that slow, steady drizzle that makes the world sound quieter than it should. He leaned against a black car, hands in his pockets, eyes calm, as if he'd known I'd come out that exact minute. "I thought you didn't stay after hours," I said, trying to sound like I wasn't afraid. Has smiled, small, polite, rehearsed. Tonight felt different. I should have walked away, but the rain, the silence, the exhaustion, they worked together like gravity. He offered me a ride, and I told myself it was fine. I told myself everything was fine. Inside the car, the air smelled like expensive leather and something colder. He drove without asking for directions. You live on 8th, right? He said casually. That stopped me. I'd never told him that. When he saw the look on my face, he added, Dahlia mentioned it once, but Dahlia didn't know where I lived. We drove in silence after that. I kept my hand on the door handle, counting the streetlights until we reached my building. Before I got out, he said, you don't have to keep working there. You're not like the others. That line, you're not like the others, it's the oldest trap in the book, but when you're broke and scared, it sounds like rescue. He handed me an envelope, no explanation, just think of it as an investment. Inside, cash, more than a week's worth of tips. And a business card, no name, just a phone number embossed in silver. That night, I didn't sleep. I told myself I wouldn't call, that taking money from a stranger made me part of someone else's story. But by the third eviction notice, principals started to feel like a luxury. When I finally dialed, his voice was steady. I knew you'd call, he said. What do you want from me? Nothing you're not already giving away. He asked to meet, not at the club, but at a private event. A party, he said, for people who preferred privacy, better pay, no crowds, safer than the club. That word, safer, was what sold me. The address he gave me was an old mansion on the outskirts of town, gated, lit by chandeliers that looked too expensive to exist. Inside, everything smelled like wealth and rot. He greeted me at the door, dressed in black, holding a glass of wine. No stage tonight, he said, just conversation. But the way the men inside watched me, quiet, calculating, told me conversation was just the opening act. I stayed close to him. He introduced me as Ivy, but everyone already seemed to know. A man in a suit twice his size whispered something that made them both laugh. I couldn't hear the words, only my name, repeated softly like a promise or a price. By the time I left, it was past midnight. My heels clicked against marble. He walked me out, still smiling, that calm, unreadable smile. You did well, he said. They liked you. They? He didn't answer, just placed another envelope in my hand and added, don't go back to the Sapphire Room. You've outgrown it. The envelope was thick, too thick. At home, I spilt the bills onto my table, hundreds, crisp and folded, and at the bottom, a small flash drive. No label, no explanation. For a full minute, I just stared at it, every instinct screaming to throw it away. But curiosity is its own kind of hunger. When I plugged it in, my laptop flickered, the screen filling with images, videos, and girls from the club, dressing, undressing, unaware they were being filmed. And in one clip, I saw her, the red-haired dancer, the one who'd said, worse, I dance. She was laughing into the camera. Then the frame cut to black. That's when I realized what the money was really buying. Not me, not yet, but my silence. And the next time he called, I answered. Because once you've taken the money, there's no such thing as no. They say you get used to fear if you live with it long enough. But you don't. You just start confusing it with intuition. After that night, after the flash drive, something inside me shifted. Every sound backstage started to feel amplified. Every laugh felt rehearsed. Every compliment calculated. At the Sapphire Room, the mirrors suddenly looked like cameras. And maybe they were. I started asking quiet questions about the red-haired girl. Dahlia brushed it off. She moved. Happens all the time. But her tone had changed. Too fast, too final. Then another dancer stopped showing up. No goodbye, no text, no social post, just gone. Same locker, same perfume, same kind of silence. One night, While cleaning up after a shift, I found her lipstick in the trash, the cap still warm. The next day, her locker was empty. Dahlia had already reassigned it. She said, "Girls like that don't last, don't make the same mistake." But what mistake was that? I started noticing patterns. The missing girls, all the same type, young, broke, new, the ones Dahlia called easy investments. And they all had one thing in common: him. The man from the booth, the one who called me Ivy before anyone else did. He hadn't been back to the club in weeks, but his presence lingered. Roses appeared in my locker again, always fresh, always perfect. No note this time, just the scent. I stopped sleeping. My dreams were a blur of faces that faded before I could name them. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that flash drive, the laugh, the cut to black. One night, after everyone left, I stayed behind. The security room door was slightly open. Inside, a monitor wall glowed, angles of every corner of the club, even the dressing rooms. I stepped closer. One feed caught my eye. Camera 7, hallway storage. A timestamp from 2 weeks ago. The red-haired girl was there, arguing with Dahlia. Then, suddenly, the frame jumped. Static. When it cleared, she was gone. The door was open, and the man from the booth stood in the background, half in shadow. I froze. A single click sounded behind me. Dahlia's voice, soft, almost kind. "Curiosity is bad for business, Ivy." She reached past me and shut off the monitor. Then, quietly, "Some stories don't want to be told." Her perfume lingered as she walked away, heavy and sweet, the kind that sticks to your clothes no matter how many showers you take. I left the club that night and never went back. But running doesn't erase what you've seen. Every corner store TV, every news scroll, every missing poster, they all started to blur into one another. Different names, same faces. Then one morning, I woke up to a voicemail. No caller ID. A man's voice, calm, familiar. "You weren't supposed to see that, Ivy, but I admire your courage." That was it. I checked my window. Across the street, a car idled for just a second too long before pulling away. That's when I realized this wasn't about money anymore. This was about erasing people who stopped playing along. And I was next on the list. The morning after that voicemail, I packed everything I owned into one duffel bag. It wasn't much. Cash, a fake ID, my old student card, and the envelope of bills I never spent. The plan was simple: leave the city before they realized I was already gone. But fear has a strange way of slowing time. Every sound feels like a signal. Every silence a trap. The hallway outside my apartment smelled faintly of roses. I didn't check the door, I just ran. By the time I reached the bus station, my hands were shaking so badly that I dropped my ticket twice. The clerk looked at me like I was another burnout trying to disappear. Maybe I was. I took a seat by the window, staring at the reflection of my own face, Ivy, Millie, whoever was left. For a moment, I almost believed I'd made it. Then I saw it. A black car parked just beyond the curb. Same model, same quiet hum. No one inside, or at least no one visible. The bus doors closed. My pulse was a siren in my ears. As the city blurred past, I kept replaying everything. The red-haired girl, Dahlia's warning, the camera footage, that voice on the phone. If I vanished now, I'd just be another name on another poster. So I did something reckless. I texted the number on that old silver embossed card. "You were right," I wrote. "Every story has a price, but you're not the only one who knows how to collect." Then I dropped the phone into a trash can as the bus rolled out of town. For 2 days, I stayed in a motel 3 hours north using fake names and cash. I didn't sleep much. I kept the curtains closed and the TV on. The news was the only noise I trusted. On the 3rd day, it happened. Headline crawl, local broadcast. Authorities investigating human trafficking ring linked to downtown nightclub. They didn't name the Sapphire Room, but the logo blurred in the background of the footage was unmistakable. They mentioned arrests, plural. One female suspect is still at large. They didn't have to say her name. I already knew it was Dahlia. No mention of him, the man from the booth, like he'd never existed at all. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt unfinished. Because freedom doesn't feel clean when it comes at the cost of silence. I tried calling my mother that night. The phone rang once, then I hung up. What could I even say? Hey, Mom, I dropped out of college and escaped a trafficking network. No. Some stories live better in whispers. Weeks passed. I found work under another name in another town. Cash-only diner, morning shifts, quiet life. Sometimes I forget to flinch when a car slows beside me. Sometimes. But every so often, I'll find something small, a rose left on a counter, a folded note slipped into my apron pocket. No handwriting, no signature, just the same words every time. Freedom isn't free. I don't know if he's still out there or if those messages are just ghosts I've given shape to. Either way, I've learned to live like someone always is. Because once you've been watched, truly watched, you never stop feeling it. And if you're hearing this, I need you to remember something. Every dollar has a shadow. Every stage has a secret. And some debts don't get paid in money. It's been 3 years since anyone called me Millie Wilson. Now, I answer to Marie or June, depending on the day and the place. Small towns are kind to ghosts, and I've learned how to live like one. The diner I work in opens before sunrise, quiet, clean, full of coffee steam, and people who still believe morning means something new. No one here knows where I came from. No one asks. That's the deal. Now and then, a college kid comes in with a laptop and a dream. I watch them scroll through financial aid pages, the same panic in their eyes that once lived in mine. I want to tell them to run, but I don't. They wouldn't understand what I mean. Sometimes I dream of the Sapphire Room. Not the lights, not the music, but the mirror backstage. The one that showed me what desperation looks like when it stops pretending to be hope. I see that girl, me, fixing her lipstick, pretending she's in control. And I whisper to her, leave before you forget your real name. But dreams don't listen. They just replay. Last winter, a detective came by the diner. He didn't ask for me. He ordered coffee, black, and sat by the window where the snow turned to water against the glass. He left a tip, too generous, and a card under the plate. No name, just a phone number. For days, I stared at it, wondering if it was an invitation or a warning. In the end, I burned it, because survival isn't about getting even. It's about not being found. At night, I sometimes write. Little fragments of memory, not to publish, not to heal, just to prove to myself that it all happened. I tell her story to an empty room, and maybe that's enough. Maybe that's what freedom really is, not a clean slate, but a quiet understanding that some lives can only exist in the spaces between truth and invention. I keep a single photograph in my wallet. It's from before everything, my first day at Pine Hollow. Back when I thought the future was something you could major in. The edges are frayed and my face looks younger than I remember. Sometimes I stare at it until the lights go out, and I can't tell which one of us survived. They said college would save me, but no one tells you what happens when the scholarship disappears.